Hi, this is Amina with a video for you about the vertex point in astrology. I think the vertex point is one of the most underestimated points because it's got so much mystery in it and it has so much to say, but so few people know anything about it. So what the vertex point is it's a point in your chart that's dependent on your exact time of birth. So in order to know your vertex point, you have to know your exact time of birth. But once you have that and you know your vertex point, the exact degree and everything, what it tells you is it's a combination of both like a deep inner wish that you have and also like a point of fate. So the vertex is related to both something that you really, really wish to have, something that is dependent on somebody else. Okay, so it's not something that you can achieve on your own, but it's also an indicator of a change of fate. So depending on how the vertex point is activated, it can tell you a little bit about what kind of effect it will have on your fate. But basically, when it's activated, it will change your fate and it will make a wish come true for you. This is a point that I love looking at for clients because sometimes I get some good news from the vertex point, like an activation is coming up for them and I love giving them the good news. So I always check the vertex point. You can do this by, if you use astrology.com for your birth charts, they have, when you go into the extended chart section, you can choose your vertex point from there. I think it's number like 151, I believe. So I always include it in my charts. Okay, so let's get into it. So what it is that the way that the vertex point can be activated is by an eclipse. An eclipse can happen like around your vertex point. It can also be activated by synastry or by transit. Okay, so not every transit will activate your vertex. So for example, every time the moon passes there, it doesn't mean like something, a wish is going to come true and stuff. But whenever something happens that's significant, very often the vertex is involved. If it's got anything to do with like a wish that you have that involves someone else or some kind of change of direction or change of destiny. So an example of that is, eclipses. Let's start with eclipses, okay? So if you have an eclipse conjunct your vertex point, like within like, I don't want to say how many degrees because I can't speak from experience, but I would say like within like 5 degrees, maybe more, within your vertex point, that is when you're going to have a wish fulfilled. And not only that, it's a really significant event because within that year, your life is going to like change direction and like never go back to what it was before. An example of that is, for me, it happened twice. One of those times was my first time I fell in love. And like within a year after that, my life changed forever, basically. It never went back to how it was before. So that was one of those times. Another time was the birth of my son. So I had an eclipse on my vertex like the day after he was born. And obviously my life will never go back to how it was before. And so that's how significant these activations can be. So it's gonna be something to do with a wish that you have that is dependent on somebody else, and also a change of fate. Okay, and let's get into synastry because I think this one is really interesting. So my son being born on the day before my vertex activation, so clearly his sun sign, his degree of his sun, is like 1 degree away from my vertex point, meaning that this person, the sun being his physical being, is fated for me and will change my life, and is a wish come true for me in tangible form. He is my wish come true, and he changed my life. So anybody who has their sun within like 5 degrees, preferably maybe even up to 8 degrees of your vertex point, can potentially, not necessarily all of those people, but can potentially be a fated person for you. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay in your life. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, that the experience is going to turn out to be positive in the long run, or that it's going to be all good. But it does mean that they played a part in your fate. So they might have an effect on your overall life direction. One thing that's interesting is in Synastry is that if somebody has their like ascendant, the ascendant degree close, like within 8 degrees of your vertex point, that means that this person can potentially move your life in a whole new direction. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're fated to be with them for life, but it will definitely feel like a fated event, like a fated person for you, and they could definitely change your life for the better or for the worse. It's fate, and it's a bit up to you what you do with it, but these people can have a really like fated effect on us. So this type of synastry I've had with my son's father. My ascendant is exactly on his vertex point, so the exact degree. And so I changed his life completely for good. And his ascendant degree is like a couple of degrees off from my vertex point. So he changed my life too, but not as much as I changed his life. And I've had this with a couple other people that have had like a really significant impact on my life. They're not necessarily in my life right now, but they've actually helped me get to where I need to go. And so that's that with synastry. So if you have that significant, like, if you have significant aspects like that, ascendant or sun close to your vertex point, these people can have like a fated effect on you and can have like a significant impact on your life. And then we have the transits. So the transits, I mean, the eclipses are obviously the big events, because that's when something is like, it's a completely, it's like a complete reset of something in your life. Whereas the transits are more, how do I put it? It's not gonna like reset your life in any kind of way, but it can definitely be some kind of a wish fulfillment. But it might be like, so it's like a milder form of an eclipse. So if it's like Jupiter transit and something happens around there. So what that could be, for example, is that with the Jupiter transit, for me, I've seen that like I've gotten a reply from somebody I look up to, somebody who's a mentor for me, and something that could turn out to be very, very prosperous in the long run, So that could be, so Jupiter transits are something Jupiter, something like, something with like the Jupiter vibe. Okay, so it's something that maybe you sent out an email, the reply comes back to some Jupiter type of person for you. A Mercury activation could be like, not every Mercury transit will be an activation, but if there is. So that could be like you got a text from somebody that you've been hoping to get a text from, or it could be like an email that you were hoping to get, or something to do with somebody else, something Mercury related. Saturn could be that you're meeting somebody that could have like a karmic effect on your life. Somebody that will sort of teach you something about patience and consequences and like hard work and diligence and stuff like that. And Venus could be somebody to just influence you in a loving way, some like positive love experience that you were hoping for that somebody can offer you. Doesn't have to be romantic love, it could just be like love and or it could be other Venus things like enjoyment and luxury and pleasures and stuff. What else could it be? With Moon, it could be like, if it's like Moon isn't that significant because it happens like every month, but like if it's like a full moon on your vertex point, or is a new moon on your vertex point, then it could be the start of something, or a culmination of something to do with comfort or support, or support, or somebody being like helpful with your emotions, or mother related. So that could be something related to your mother. Mars could be something to do with like passion, activities, or other Mars related stuff. And Uranus could be just about anything, because Uranus is like, you never know what you're gonna get. So with Uranus, it'll be like just God knows, Pluto is gonna be tricky, because Pluto tends to get with the vertex point, it is something that you wanted. So a positive thing that you might have wanted that comes with Pluto could be some kind of transformation, or psychological healing, or like getting to the bottom of some deeper issue, and coming out on top, and like so it could be like the start of a transformation that's going to get you to be more of you and more authentic, because Pluto teaches us about authenticity. I think that was it about the vertex point. I don't know if I've convinced you, but this is like, I think it's huge. I check it like regularly. I see like if anything is coming up on my vertex, or if I'm sort of expecting some good news, I'm checking like when is the vertex going to be activated, like what planet is passing through. And I think it's generally a positive thing, and the more you can be aware of it, the more you can sort of make sure you get the best of it, because not every activation is going to be positive in the long run, but it will be like a wish come true, and it will be, and it will change your fate. So if you feel like your life is sort of stagnated, I think it's really good to check the vertex point and see if there's any activation coming up. Okay, cool. So that's it for today. Thank you.